just recorded 40 minutes of a vlog before I realized the microphone was way the hell up there. Welcome to the chaos. I am Tanari if you are new here. I do streaming on Twitch on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. I vlog on here. I do Tanks Logs on YouTube Shorts. Those don't have a schedule, so don't hold your breath there. Like and subscribe if you want to be notified when they go up, though. That's just, yeah. Right, so I have recorded, this is 3 weeks late. This vlog is 3 weeks late. I know it. I am so sorry. I have recorded 7, make that 8 times now, over that time period, but something major keeps interrupting as I go to record, as I go to edit. Something major changes. And it's a big thing I have to deal with. One of the first ones was I had a massive anxiety trip for a little over a week, and I did not realize at the time that anxiety trip was caused by the kids' camp forms. So my oldest was supposed to go to camp. There's a special camp for kids with MD, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, or there's a couple of both kinds of MD, I think, do go to camp, but it's a special camp with a full medical staff and volunteers and everything, where these kids can go to camp and have a cool camp experience at a week stay-away camp. And my brother went to this camp when he was a kid. My son was supposed to go his first year in 2020. You can guess how that went. Yeah, his first year of camp was actually 2022, last year. And he was the only one that went. I have 3 kids with MD. He's the only one that went for 2 reasons. One, they don't start camp until they're 8. One child was not old enough yet. And the second child has autism, and they didn't have time to get enough volunteers for him to go to camp that year. He has autism. He was a lot more of a pain in the butt to deal with then. It wasn't cool. It wasn't going to work. And their primary thing is keep the kid safe, keep the children safe, and they couldn't do it with him with so few volunteers last year. Well, this year, I was filling out forms for all 3 of them to go. And that caused a massive anxiety flip, and I knew it was going to. I should have known the applications were going to, but I knew the idea of camp was going to do this to me. And by new, I mean after I dropped kid 1 off last year, I had to use this. I was 5 minutes away from camp when I had to use this because I had the most aggressive panic attack I'd ever had in my life at that point on my way back from dropping him off at camp, because he was going to be gone for a week. I dropped him off by himself for a full flipping week. And it wasn't just by himself. He was 3 hours away from home. Okay, this was not a little thing. I had an asthma attack so bad I had to pull over. And it was caused by the anxiety attack. I had to calm down. And that week was not cool, okay? I was a walking wreck. But this year I was doing it for 3 kids. And I was having an anxiety trip and I didn't realize it until after I finally pushed through and got those applications done. Still haven't heard back on any of them. I have no doubts the oldest is going to go to camp. I have limited doubts the youngest is going to go to camp. I'm not confident on the middle child. I'm really hoping they accept his application and let him go, because there was no way I was getting the Camp Summit form done in time. There's a special camp for kids with autism. It's actually much closer to home, but their application process was ungodly. Absolutely horrific. And by the time I got halfway through that application, I was looking at a waiting list. So I said, fuck it, I'm dealing with the MDA camp this year. Because I couldn't. And as it is, I'm going to have to go pick up, I had to do this last year. I have to go pick up a copy of their immunization records from their old pediatrician to send in with camp. so I've got to deal with that. But I had that, got those applications in, recovered from that, because that took a week all by itself. We filed the taxes because that form finally came in, so we could do that. What else happened? Medical appointments. Yeah, that's just a normal. Birthdays. We learned that I have to move. So I burnt out. I burnt out so hardcore. Middle of February. And it took a month. I think I just recovered from that last week. Barely. But I burnt out worse than I ever had this year, and I stopped and went, I've burnt out around the same time for 3 years solid. What changed? Well, here's what changed. The kids have a clinic. They do a clinic at the MDA, at the Children's Hospital. MDA does a clinic in the neurology clinic once a month. And what that is all of these specialists and doctors and medical professionals that the children normally have to see because they have MD. When my brother was a kid, we had to schedule each of these appointments separately. And my mom did her damnedest to get them all scheduled on the same day, but it rarely worked. Well, what they do now is they put you in a room, and all those people come to you. With the exception of some imaging and testing, like you got to go to the equipment for that. But they come to you, you stay put. And this cuts down. I remember my mom doing this, okay? This cut down so hardcore on the amount of work and difficulty and PIA that has to be done. So much. My mom would have killed for this kind of clinic some years. I know it. And I've got 3. She had 1 to deal with. I've got 3. This is huge. So much of my time is saved here. Well, what happened is the last time, they get seen every 6 months, and we had a delay in an appointment for a couple months at one point a few years ago, and then when we finally got it scheduled again, it landed in December 15th. It was this last year. And the problem is, this is 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, a week and a half before Christmas, and then after Christmas we have, and you look, it's Christmas, okay? There's a whole bunch of, not last minute, but to me, last minute parties and things and events that have to be handled because it's Christmas. And, like, to me, last minute means, oh, we're doing this week, and I'm like, I need more warning than this for my brain to be okay. Especially with those appointments in there, because what happens is I have 3 children to deal with. It takes me 3 times longer than most parents when I go in here. Because they park me and all 3 of my children in a room, and we go through all 3 kids. We are there. This last time it was for 4 or 5 hours because everybody cooperated. When they don't all cooperate, we are there for like 8. It's a long day. And that is smack in between the 2 major holidays. Then we have New Year's, and 2 weeks into January we have a birthday. 2 weeks into February we have a birthday. And by the time we hit that second birthday, I was burnt as hell. Like, I have seen less burnt food on the bottom of my oven. That's how bad I burnt out. And I realized it's been 3 years in a row. It was worse this year than usual. But this was 3 years in a row. And I went, and it was worse this year than usual because my husband's family was in town for Christmas this year. We specifically went, okay, this almost never happens. We will make sure we can be there for a few days. It won't happen again. Not them coming to town, like, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. Clearly, that many times dealing with that many people in the same week does not work for my children. That's not a flaw on any of my family. There's a lot of people in one spot. And it is far too overwhelming for the one child. He was great the first day. The first day he did wonderful. The second day, he lost his shit. He couldn't handle it. He was overstimulated. Couldn't work out. And frankly, I was almost overstimulated too, but that's because I had a child screaming at me all day. He was overstimulated. He was letting us know. It was not great. So we just can't do the multiple outings on Christmas week again. We can't. But that's why I was burnt out worse this year, was because we had more family around Christmas. It was far less low-key than we normally do things. I burnt out earlier or harder this year than I have the last 2 years. But this was how I realized we've got to move those appointments. Because it's been 3 years running, and that's what changed 3 years ago. Those appointments got moved to December. I just can't do that. So we've got to move the appointment, and it's not a big deal. They need to be seen every 6 months to maintain a baseline. The doctors that actually need to see them more often than that to adjust medications. We do e-visits as needed for that. Like it's not something where I've got to go see them consistently. Thank God. COVID did some wonders for my life, okay? Like, COVID sucked. Do not get me wrong, alright? It was a pandemic. But some of the changes that were made because of that have done wonders for me. Okay, my stress levels have gotten so much better after that. But I've got to schedule those, and it doesn't matter when they're at. It just needs to be about every 6 months. We need to get these moved to, like, January or February, or even November for all I care. Because before the holidays start is much easier on me. November's big deal is bake pies. We do Thanksgiving at my mom's house, and I bring the pies. That's what I've been bringing for years, because I used to take the Jell-O salad. Then I had children. You try juggling a giant bowl of Jell-O salad meant to feed a dozen people and 2 babies. Guess which one survives to get to the party? It's not the Jell-O. So I told Mom I'm bringing pies one year, and that's just what I've brought since. And we baked them the hard way. By hard way, I mean I went, oh, this is science, when my kids suggested making scratch apple pie and scratch pumpkin pie. I am my own worst enemy, and I know it. But that's tradition now. And the bonus here is we bake enough pies for my house and my mom's house, both for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and we do this all in the same week, and then we freeze the Christmas pies. I don't deal with those until Christmas time. But we freeze them, and I don't bake them again. Well, except that one year where we had to bake pumpkin pies again because somebody decided we needed to have pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving breakfast, and I wasn't arguing with them. But that was once. We didn't do that again. Something need more protein. So we figured that out. Sorry, I'm rambling like hell. Sewing videos. I'm having trouble with the sewing videos. I do intend to start doing sewing videos on YouTube, okay? I promise I do. But I'm having problems, and half the problems are up here. I've gotten past the point where I forget to turn on the flipping cameras constantly, okay? I kept constantly forgetting to turn on the camera when I'm sewing. I finally fixed that. I found angles that I like, that I remember to turn the camera on. I need to do something about the whole camera shaking when I'm using the sewing machine thing, but I'll figure it out. It's not that bad. But when I go to sit down to edit, I have a really hard time with editing. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is I'm not that good at editing. It's a skill I'm learning. I'm not great at it. I'm getting there. I'm trying. The other is in my head. I really have a problem going, oh, this is great, we should be doing this. And I try to over-edit, and then I wind up just giving up. So it's taking some work. I am still trying, but we're getting there. But in the meantime, I will show off projects as they get finished. And projects I have coming up is I've been meaning to do a poison ivy gown for over a year now, and I bought this. I gave up. I've been trying to figure out how to make this gown work in my head, and I don't have those reserves. I can't do it. So I gave up and bought a slip dress pattern, because the entirety of the poison ivy gown is a high slit and a lot of leaves. I bought leaves. Okay, I bought fabric and silk, vines, and leaves to sew on a dress. That was the plan from the beginning. So I'm just going to do one of these now instead, that green dress on there. But I don't want to just cut into my satin, because I've only got so much and I can't afford to replace it right now. But we bought... So we decorate the house by switching out the couch, a couple of wall decorations, and the tablecloth. And the flowers on the table. The kids insist there's flowers on the table. And we do that because the kids love it. I like having some pretty around, some decoration from season to season. But I don't want to overdo it. Too much is actually too much in my house. Too much gets eaten by dogs, by that one kid. It's just a thing, and that's how things get destroyed if I have too much around. Fine. But we have a couch that's not a couch. It's actually a twin bed sitting on a... I got tired of replacing my couch when my kids were smaller. I couldn't clean it properly. It was a cheap couch, and cheap couches ain't cheap. And I got tired. It was a $600 couch, and the kids and the animals are just heavy. We're hard on stuff, and I caught one of my children pulling threads out at one point before we realized he was autistic. And that actually caused an ugly fight the last time because my husband was blaming the dog. And I'm like, the dog's not doing this. This is the kid. I've sat here and watched the kid start this. And to be fair, he was working ungodly hours at the time, working all the time. Since working at home, we have had so many less of these issues. Working at home and having a healthier work-life balance. He actually sees what the kids do now. But the last time I was like, I'm done. And he was right. We couldn't afford to replace the couch all the time. And I couldn't physically do it anymore all the time. It was every year for a couple years there. It was a couch dead every year. And I couldn't do it. We couldn't afford it. And we just bought one of the heavy-duty steel twin bed frames and a memory foam mattress. So that, if this had to keep happening, and after realizing that one kid was autistic, we had a bit of a come to Jesus meeting where I reminded him profusely, no, this is going to happen. He's autistic. He's going to destroy things while he's learning. We can't stop that. Not if we want him to learn to be a healthy, well-adjusted adult someday. And he conceded and accepted that replacing furniture was just going to have to be a thing. And we went for a $100 bed frame that we knew would hold up. This is our go-to heavy-duty steel bed frame. We've had them for all four of the kids' beds, and they take some serious abuse without any issues. They take major weight. And a cheap memory foam mattress, $250 to replace the couch, rather than $7 or $8, which is what we'd paid for the last couch because we had too many people in the house. And then I dropped, I think, $50 on... No, I didn't, because I sewed some of those. Maybe $30 on large pillows to use as couch cushions. Well, I went to go buy sheets for it for Easter, and that's what we swap out, is the sheets and the pillowcases for Easter. And I was going to buy just flat sheets and pillowcases, and it was actually twice as much to do that than it was just to buy a cheap twin sheet set. So that's what I did, and one of them is a lavender color with little daisies all over it. And the kids loved that on the couch. I think they're kind of living vicariously through me and my decorating. But the kid who likes purple does not want flowery pajamas. So I'm going to use that to make a slip dress out of this to test the pattern before I cut into my satin. And then, because we don't use top sheets anymore, like I pulled all the top sheets out in there in my fabric closet now. I was talking to the kid, and he mentioned I have a lot of Miss Frizzle earrings. And I'm like, there was a light bulb went off. A light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my god, all those sheets would be... There are some sheets in there that would make some epic Miss Frizzle dresses. Epic. So Nerdy Encounters helped me find this pattern to turn into Miss Frizzle dresses, because I've got some sheets in there that would be perfect for that. We're talking massive planets printed on the sheet, big old dinosaurs, perfect Miss Frizzle dresses. So I'm going to do a couple of those. At least a couple. And those are the projects I'm working on. It's taking some time. Sewing hasn't happened as much as I would like, because we found some shortcuts to ease my workload. We realized that with content creation, the medical care getting worse, my husband's condition, it's kind of plateaued. But basically, we both had to accept he can't do what he would like to do. He can't. I'm the tank for a reason, okay? He cannot take the kind of physical beatings that I can. Not that anyone actually physically beats me beside myself. All right, I'm a walking wreck. I am a klutz. I do half this crap to myself. But, you know, having an autistic 10-year-old throw his weight across your back while you're trying to tie his shoes is a thing that happens a lot. He's not trying to hurt me. He's not even trying to mess around. He's trying to give me a giant hug because he got excited and emotional in the moment and wanted to give me a hug while I'm bent over trying to tie his shoes. I can take this. I can take this abuse. I can take this damage. He can't. That move, that exact move, would cripple the man because he's got a messed up vertebrae. There we go. That was the right word. This is bad. He can't do that. He can't take some of this the way I can. So, coming to understand it, no, I actually have to be the one doing a lot of this work. And then the content creation, I don't have that kind of time. So we found shortcuts, threw some money at some shortcuts to limit my issues. And one of them was, I watch Mama Cusses sometimes, and she did a video on cheats that feel unfair for you not to know as a parent. One of the biggies, the biggie for me, was you can put as many fitted sheets on a child's bed as you'd like. And when they're sick, or if you're having potty training issues, you just peel one off, throw it on the floor, and deal with it in the morning. I went, oh my God, this is genius. How do I not know this? How? It's like the most obvious thing that you don't think about, but how? So we bought, they were actually, the week I went and did this, they were on super sale, like 60% off on Amazon. I bought a bunch more of the mattress protectors waterproof mattress protectors that we started using on the kids' beds when we bought the memory foam mattresses. What happened is their old spring beds had to be replaced. They were trashed. The springs were poking through. They were old. We'd bought them used, and they were old. So we ordered memory foam mattresses because they weren't that much more expensive, and the prospective injuries of having to wrestle an actual spring mattress through our front door, not once but 4 times, were far higher than memory foam. So it was going to cost more to hurt ourselves than it was to do this. So we used memory foam mattresses, and we bought waterproof protectors for them, and I have never regretted that decision. Those mattresses, and we've had to replace them once because the kids were, well, children, and one of them had a thing with chewing on foam for a while, but beside the point. We've had to replace their mattresses once since we bought them. And the waterproof protectors, I bought a whole bunch more of them. And now all 4 beds, children's beds, and our couch have 3 layers of mattress protector and bed sheet on them. This week, that saved my ass. I actually got all the laundry done and caught up. Bedding too in a week. Because I did not have to waste time washing yet another load of bedding in the middle of the laundry over and over and over again. It was peel off a layer, chunk it in the laundry. That's it. Now, did some beds go through all of those sheets in a week? Yes. Okay. This is a thing. Reality is I have 2 children with medical issues that cause them to have difficulty dealing with getting to the bathroom in a timely manner. I have a 3rd one losing his ability to do that very slowly. So this is a thing, and as they lose muscle control, they're going to have more spills, more crap getting all over their bed, more issues that I have to fix, and it is so much easier just to peel a layer off, and part of it is because I take the beatings that I do day to day. Some days I can't put new sheets on there. I can get the old ones off, but I can't just put new sheets on. I will hurt myself. So that this actually saved my butt this week, just being able to peel off a layer, chunk it in the laundry, and... Sorry, I had a parenting emergency there. Brain shut down, right. So that saved my butt, because I could just peel a layer off even if I'm hurt, or if it's a big deal. And 2 days after I got those on all the beds, and already it had to peel up 3 layers, just because life, that not from the same bed, from different beds. I looked it up and went, wait, do they make these for pillows? Because I had to go replace all the kids' pillows, not the couch ones, but all the children's pillows had to be replaced because I'd been washing them over and over and over again for about a year, and they had turned into little felt pancakes. So I went and bought them new pillows, and when I bought them, I went, wait a minute, do they make covers for these? Got on Amazon, and not only did they make them, they were also 60% off that week. So I counted properly, bought enough waterproof pillow covers for every pillow in the house that was a standard-sized pillow, standard or king, and then promptly forgot which kind of pillows were on my couch. So when they showed up, I thought I'd counted wrong, and I had counted properly. I actually had. The only pillows in my house that do not have a waterproof cover on them right now are decorative throw pillows, the oversized pillows I made when I messed up my knee. They're on the couch now. And my husband's body wedge pillow. It's a giant triangle piece of foam. So he can sit in bed comfortably and use his laptop when he's relaxing and all that. And it's great. It's great. I haven't had to wash a single pillow since. It's been 2 or 3 weeks and I haven't had to wash a single flipping pillow. 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. Haven't had to wash a single pillow. Because they all have these waterproof covers on them. Wipe it down. And they're not those crappy plastic things like we had when I was a kid, okay? They don't feel like plastic. They kind of hold air like plastic. Like if you squish it, it does not squish like it used to. But it doesn't feel like fabric. It doesn't feel like plastic. It's got a fabric coat. And I just wipe off the cover, put a new pillowcase on there, and ta-da. That's it. We're done. So much laundry I'm not doing. So much work I'm not doing. And we learned that I have 2 major depression and anxiety tics. And the anxiety will cause the depression when it is not a known clear cause. Now, I have anxiety issues all the time, major anxiety trips because medical care. It's a thing. It ain't going anywhere. Doesn't matter. That does not affect the depression the way it used to. I did not realize until this week I am no longer accustomed to depression. That was such an epiphany moment because that used to be my default state, was depressed. I had bad depression issues when they were little. And there were reasons for that, okay? Having my daughter die on me when she was 3 did affect my ability to parent viably for a few years, okay? Like, the kids were still fine, they were still alive, but I was not at my best. Was not. And that I'm not accustomed to it anymore. I'm not accustomed to depression anymore. And I realized that this last week, I'd finally gotten over being sick. Had gotten done with the kids' medical forms and the camp forms. And I had a depression day. Like, I was just depressed all day. There was no clear cause. I had no way to fix this. Never do. You can't fix depression, okay? Like, there's nothing that does it. Nothing. But I wasn't accustomed to it anymore, and that's why it knocked me down so hard. And just realizing that I am no longer accustomed to being depressed, to working through depression, flipped a switch. And I got up and I forced myself to do basic necessities. When I made a habit long ago, when I'm depressed, having depression issues, go through the motions. Go through the emotions. Don't push through. Don't force yourself to be happy and doing good and fuck that. Just ignore all that shit. But don't just lay there. Don't just stop unless you're cuddling a child. Boy, does that help. Let me tell you, you stop and you put all of your attention into that kid and explaining things to them and making sure they're having a good day and having fun and listening to them. And you're at least making somebody's life better, okay? Might not be yours, but somebody's. Give them your full attention. But if you're not doing that, and my kids are all old enough now, they're trying to be independent. They're boys. They're mommy's the girl. I'm not who they want to hang with as much. So it happens where they don't want to deal with me. And that's what this day was. They were doing their own thing. So I went through the motions. I took a shower. I made coffee. I took Sudafed and Tylenol because allergy season's upon us. Which means my sinuses hate me. Welcome to pollen. Flippin' southern. Anyway. And I just did. I trudged through the motions. I made sure dinner got on the table. And when I was out in the living room dealing with dinner, I realized there are two big things that trigger anxiety trips in me. Major ones. And we're not talking little anxiety trips. We're talking there is no explanation and I don't calm down. I can't calm down. They are, no surprise, environmental. We're not counting the third one, which is food. If I have not eaten, my anxiety goes zoop. And that one, look, it's obvious. You fix it by eating. Eat protein, and in my case, certain fats, and I'm good. But the two that there is no real fix unless you fix what's causing it. That made no sense. Smell and appearance of comfort. Now, the smell one has a lot of issues, okay? I've got 4 boys, 2 dogs, and a variety of issues in my house, and there are several smells that will throw me into a bad mood quick. Urine, it's always a bad one, and with my dogs and potty training boys, it's one that I've had a few times, okay? A lot. It's happened a lot. And this was the day I realized the litter box has not been changed. I could smell the flipping litter box. Drove me bananas. Anxiety through the roof. It was the litter box, and I had to have the Sudafed in my system to tell that it was the litter box, because I couldn't actually smell, but the fumes were still picking because it's cat pee. Okay, cat pee has a special smell, and you can smell it even if you can't smell, but I couldn't identify it until I could smell. And the couch pillows were all dirty. Couch pillows were all dirty, and we were down to one sheet on there. And there was no tablecloth on the table, which, again, it appears, what it is it appears to be cold, hard, and hospital-like. I hate hospitals, okay? I get to deal, obviously, with my life, but I don't like it. It's an anxiety thing, and the anxiety thing when I'm in the hospital ain't changing. But when I realized that's what's wrong, I was depressed, and I need to fix something. I need to fix something. Don't care what, need to fix something. So my husband sent me to get what we needed for the other cheat, which was toward the end of last month, like 3 days before he got paid. We were running out of some of the staples we keep around because we like them. Not things, like we weren't starving, okay? We had food. But the things we have around because we like them, they're things we enjoy, we're running out, and I was going to have to get groceries, when we got paid without choice. Which is what happened, you know, we didn't run out of food, we did fine, but that last 3 days, basically, if anything had gone wrong, we'd have been in some trouble. And we have to plan for things to go wrong. We cannot plan for a little oopsie. We have to plan for the worst possible outcome sometimes. Get. There's a bug in my keyboard. It's going to regret that. It's going to go blind. So he sent me out to get the stuff to put in we have a bunch of 5-gallon food safe buckets with lids. We bought them to store food so we had backup staples, but we wound up storing different kind of food in there. So I went out and bought pasta, breakfast bars, the stuff we enjoy to have stuck, the dry goods, stuff that we enjoy eating in these bins, 3 or 4 days worth of food, because like that ice storm where I fell and hurt myself, we'd have been fine if we'd had these buckets, right? I wouldn't have had to go get the groceries that day. Little emergencies popping up, we'd have been fine. And it's stuff that my husband can easily cook if there's a hospital problem, because, like, that's what happened the last 2 days of December. I spent New Year's Eve in a hospital with the kid. It's stuff he can easily cook. And he sent me out to get that. And brain shut down. To get that and get the pillowcases for the couch and cat litter to fix the litter box. I was like, I can make a little bit better. I can make something in the house better today. That's what I do. I go through the motions. I take care of what I need to do to be taken care of and make something better at home. Sometimes all that is baking cookies. Okay, sometimes all I can do to make things better is a batch of chocolate chip cookies. But it still helps. Well, this particular day I came home, I changed the litter, I put potpourri, I use wax block potpourri in a melter now, because the kid doesn't eat those as often. Yes, that's a real concern around here. Put one of those in the melter, put clean pillowcases on the couch, put the pillows back out, and put a clean tablecloth on the table, and I felt better. Like I was still dealing with some depression fog, but I felt better, and I was about to go into autopilot anyway because it was time to make dinner. Most nights, by the time I get down to cooking dinner, I am on autopilot. This is because I do so much. And dinner is one of those things where I had to learn to autopilot real early, because even when he was working in an office and I had one child at home, I was the one cooking and cleaning and running the house and keeping that kid taken care of. Our firstborn our daughter was the firstborn. She was very medically unstable sometimes. So, like, this has been my entire parenting journey, has been medical care, medical care, medical care. So I had to learn how to autopilot dinner really early. Really early. And it's just stuck. Because I have to feed people. Right? By dinner time, we need to eat. We need to eat. Doesn't matter what I've done. And we cannot afford to order out all the time. I can't afford the stress of ordering out all the time. Because trash gets on the floor, and then that just makes the environment worse. But, you know, I autopilot making dinner, even though I'm still depressed. And then I wake up the next morning. To a clean, comfy couch, a nice smelling home, a clean table with a clean tablecloth, and the dishes in the dishwasher, and this made everything so much better. Like, the depression was backed off aggressively. Like, this was a really short depression day. I don't know what happened there. But the next day, I set myself up for a good day. And that was huge. That was huge. And then we had this week, this was the last thing that threw off the vlog because this was 2 days ago. It was Friday. I took the child who spent New Year's in the hospital to the doctor, to the immunologist, because in the ER, the specialists went, this could be the virus or this could be his infusion medication. Let's not play gamble. So they sent me home with EpiPens and scheduled me for the immunologist. Well, I saw the immunologist yesterday. We just explained all our concerns, requested extensive allergy testing because he's had some pretty bonus reactions to basic seasonal allergies, and we just wanted our bases covered. And he basically tells me, I highly doubt this was the infusions. Really don't think this was his infusions. But if it was, based on the benefit he gets from this infusion medication, we may need to, based on the benefit to the infusion medication and the specific allergic reaction. It was a reaction, okay? It was a non-mild reaction, but it was not super severe, super fast, and it responded to an EpiPen. So he's like, we may look at, if that's the case, medicating the reaction rather than taking him off the medication full time. But right now he doesn't think it was his medication. We did the prick test, allergy testing, negative, all of it. He's not allergic to crap. He's just got really sensitive skin and seasonal allergies. Welcome to my world. And that was a huge relief. That cut down stress load so hard. He's going to start his infusions again on Friday. He's going to be pissed because it's been a couple months now about 3 months since he's had an infusion, but he's going to get them again, and that's huge on us because there is a very clear benefit to this medication physically. Then, so I lost my inhaler in the snowstorm, in the ice storm. I fell 4 times with this puppy in my pocket, and I couldn't find it after the storms. Now, please keep in mind, I fell 4 times by having my feet shoot out from underneath me. I was in so much pain by the time I was done going outside that day. I sat in my chair and did not move for 5 hours. Okay, I wasn't supposed to move. That's how bad I was hurt. Nobody wanted me to move. The kids were concerned. My husband was concerned. They're like, just stop moving. And I lost my inhaler. So, a month later, I replaced the inhaler. And then this week, I sit down in my chair and realize I had lost my inhaler in my chair. It got stuck down next to the seat cushion, and I couldn't find it because I was in pain for 3 days. And I couldn't find it. It was gone. So, yeah, got that back. And we're doing a little better. We started an allowance system with the kids. They're helping out so much more. So they get a base $20 a month. Just basic $20 because there are some chores that are non-optional. They are going to do those chores whether they flipping like it or not. Cleaning their room, picking up after themselves, cleaning off the table, doing their schoolwork. These are non-optional. These are 110 flipping % required. But they also do things like track their therapy, take their medications, some things that are not normal. Right? They deal with non-normal things, and we as the parents want them to have some spending money when we can afford it, which we can right now. So $20 a month per kid, flat. And then they can earn up to a certain amount extra over the course of that month doing extra work. But we switched it because I didn't like having them required to do the dishes and laundry, and I realized it wasn't just a disconnect up here, it was a literal function issue. They are not able to deal with the backlog the way I am, at the speed I am, and that's a lack of consistency in their days if I have to take over for a few days to get things caught up so it's functional again. But they can do that to earn extra money when I allow them to, which is most of the time, okay? The backlogs don't happen that often. And that has made a huge difference in how clean the house is and how much time I have. So we've made a lot of improvements. We have a lot of changes coming. I know this vlog is so late and I am so sorry. If you want notifications when these things go up in the future, like, subscribe, share if you want to. I don't know how many people actually want to see this crap, whatever. And that's all I got for you right now. I will try to get the next one up on time. I apologize. Hopefully I will see you next week. In the meantime, enjoy the chaos.